join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, considerations of agenda additions or deletions, we have none. At this time, invitations to members of the audience to speak to items on the agenda.
Okay, well.
Communications, we have none, and reports.
Okay.
Right to you.
Right to me, that was fast. Okay, Lakeland by the numbers. This is the enrollment update as of November 8th. Yes, we are up 2 students overall, so you can see all the pluses and minuses and the different grade levels.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, we're working our way there, 1545.
Good.
All right, and then next I have updates on goals. You had asked at last meeting to have an update based on the goal setting that we did as a group this summer. So Alexis Grossman and her department, her goal was to reach 25% of the families through Title I on the road and Title I family nights. And as of October 23rd, which was our last Title I on the road, we have reached 40% of the families. So she has exceeded the goal that she had set for herself. In transportation, Jolene's goal was to improve communication in the department, in the schools, and with the administrators and parents. She's now having monthly meetings for safety, student management, etc. with her drivers. She is talking and working with administrators in each of the schools to keep them informed as to what's happening with their students, and is continuing with the improvement for communication with parents. In business operations, Jamesie's goal was to get the budget aligned with our goals and her progress. She's been working on the budget obviously this year, and she's made specific lines in the budget to go along with specific purchases and projects. This makes it easier to quickly identify the projects and the progress and spending involved. And Ben Morgan's special education goal is that by May of 2024, the special education staff will participate in meaningful collaboration at least one time per month. So at LPS, they've been investigating caseloads, best practices, and support for kindergarten and a continuum of service. Those are special ed. For food service, her goal was to increase participation and maintain that community eligibility funding until universal free meals become available. It's a 4-year cycle. So her progress at junior senior high, they've had a 50% increase in breakfast participation since the start of school, 75% average daily participation in lunch. At LIS, they have a 90% average daily participation for lunch, which is almost 400 lunches served per day in that building. They have a 50% participation for breakfast. They did a recipe taste test on the 19th of October and had 99% student approval rating. So they will be adding the item to the winter menu. It was a tater tot casserole or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah.
It's awesome.
What day and what time?
I was like, can I get some?
It's always good to see new things going on the menus, right? At the primary building, they have 88% participation for lunch and 73% for breakfast. The 2-hour delay days, they serve more breakfast than lunch at the primary building.
Wow.
I don't know if it's because they end up so close together. I don't know. Increases in participation have allowed the department to break even financially, which is important because, as you may or may not know, cafeterias are self-funding. She expects a slight increase in junior senior participation as the weather changes, and she's currently working on developing the 24-25 menus.
Yes, the
Carlos.
Yes.
Yep, I know what that is. All right, we'll just keep going. I'll talk to him in a minute. School goals. So Lakeland Primary, their goal by May of 2024 was to match or not exceed the state average in chronic student absenteeism. So they were looking at an attendance rate of 21.1%. So their progress, they are calling parents at 5-day absence increments. They have remained at less than 1% of students meeting the chronic absenteeism through the first quarter. Last year, we had 8.4% chronically absent at LPS by the end of the school year, which means that we met the school goal last year. So they did improve attendance last year and are looking to do some more of that. So they're remaining under the average chronic absenteeism attendance rate of 11%, which is good, and they will continue to monitor that. Lakeland Intermediate, parents and community will have increased opportunities to partner with LIS. They are working on their volunteer list in the office. They're utilizing social media to communicate with the stakeholders. Teachers are brainstorming ways they can use volunteers. They're scheduling community events like the Books for Bingo Night. How many did you have with that? Do you remember? It was
About
a big
140. There were quite a few people.
Yeah, it was great. Laker Fest, donuts with grown-ups, all kinds of good stuff like that.
What day is that and what time?
Well,
I'm gonna come for tater tot casserole and donuts.
Veterans Day, we'll have donuts.
Yep.
Okay.
So they are inviting the library, trying to utilize some community resources, so they are making some progress in that area. And then finally, junior senior high had 3 different goals. Their first goal was the attendance rate. They wanted to increase student attendance by 5% compared to what it had been. They have a lot of different interventions that are going on. They are, working with classroom teachers. They're working with students so that students understand the accountability. They are reminding the families of what is expected. So they don't have, didn't have the data for the previous 2 years, but believe they're seeing improvement. They had 705 total students out of 792 that would have been 10 or more unexcused absences, which is a 0.6% chronically absent rate for students in grades 7 through 12. So let's see what else we have on here. Quarter 1. 5 through 9 unexcused days or absences are at a total of 12 students. So that's the under 10 but over 5 category, 5 or over category.
At-risk kids.
Yeah, that's the 1.5%. Those are the risky ones. So they have some plans for that. They have a watch list based on the previous year's attendance. There's 1 administrator assigned to oversee 7 through 12 attendance for continuity. Admin and the attendance secretary are meeting twice a week. They use real-time attendance data as reported to IDOE. Kay has helped them access that. They are mailing their 5 and 10 day letters certified to families, which is expensive, but then you know what them. They're having parent meetings, and during the second quarter, they'll continue that and add in some follow-up phone calls by advisory teachers, and they'll start inviting probation to attend proactive meetings with families. Their second goal is to have 90% of the class of 2027 on track to get their diploma. At the end of quarter 1, 84% of the 9th graders are passing 5 or more classes out of their 7. There is an at-risk list of 20 students that counselors will be meeting with throughout quarter 2. Their third goal is to outperform the state average on statewide tests for the appropriate grade level within 3 years. That would be a minimum of 5% growth on scores by June 2024. So we haven't taken any of those tests to know what that's going to look like yet, but they're working on it by focusing on the testing blueprints, which show what we used to call power standards. So which standard is most likely to be tested and what percentage it plays in the test. So that's where we are on the goals updates.
We should get our PSAT scores back next week. We took it a week or so into the open window, so the scores came out for the first set of people that took it in the first week of the window, and then ours should come out next week. That's for all of our freshmen, sophomores, and then the top 25 of our juniors. So
That is all I have for you.
Thank you. Good updates. I like that. Really appreciate that. Treasurer's report.
Okay. All right, so we're at 83% of the year at the end of October. Our education fund, we collected 85.86% of our funds, and our operations fund, we collected 67.8%. Expenditures, we are at 76.5% of our revenue expended, and then at 83.8% of the operations fund with revenue. So once again, not really all that happy with that, but we've had a lot of unexpected things come up. This month we have had to pay our SRO his complete quarterly bill, it didn't have the grant money available to pay. It shuts off. So we have to, there's once a year I do have to pay, or the school has to pay his whole quarter. So we usually split that with the grant. We did purchase 150 Chromebooks also this month. And and we had some software license renewals as well. So that were just what they are. So that's where some of our expenditures and stuff are at. So overall, though, we're at 70.9% of our overall funds expended. So we're in pretty good shape. It's just, and then the rest of the year, we're at that point where we pretty much cut off all spending unless it's absolutely 100% necessary for operations. So utilities, things like that. And then if we did have some absolute emergency come up to pay for, but everything else we're pretty much cut off and done for the year now. So our spending should be kind of leveled out. So as well. So
Cash balance is still staying pretty steady though.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So
okay,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
School board president's report. I'll piggyback off of goals. Obviously, the board's goals was to get market all the good things that our corporation's doing, and we're having another meet and greet board tour on November 11th. Correct?
No,
18th. I'm sorry. What is today? Yeah, this Saturday. No, it's next Saturday.
Right.
The 18th. I wrote that down wrong. At 9 a.m. At the primary.
No, you're in the
Here,
boardroom.
here.
You're just
Boardroom.
all mixed up, aren't you?
I wrote both things down wrong.
You
want to do that again?
You just don't listen to me. If you get that, it's gonna be right here. Okay. Thank you.
He's just testing us.
I know, right? I scribble everywhere. So, a couple things I wanted to highlight was senior projects. A lot of awesome senior projects happening this year, so it's great to see that, and the board gets to see some of those that are happening. So, super excited about that. Sounds like the play went really well. I didn't get a chance to see it personally, but everything I hear was that the play went extremely well. And then I wanted to kind of congratulate all of our athletes that all of our all-conference awards when it came through, and our honorable mentions. And then I wanted to highlight two athletes that have had some recognition, but I wanted to highlight them as well. Memphis Martin, that went to state and represented us as a freshman with the third fastest time for a freshman. He has a super bright future for us, so that's super exciting, especially coming off of an ACL surgery. So super impressive. A lot of hard work goes into being able to put those times up. And then the last one I wanted to highlight is Braden Holbrook, that broke the school record in passing yards for over 3,000 yards as a sophomore. And I obviously have a little bit of more in this than normal because I've coached Braden for all the years as he was growing up. So super special for me to watch him mature as a quarterback, and he's also matured a lot in the classroom as well. So he's only a sophomore, and I'm really excited to see how he can stack up those numbers for the next 2 years. So very, very good things going on all around. That will move on to unfinished business, which we have none. Always good. New business. Number 1, our buyer's contract.
Yes. So you have before you a document that we actually signed on an emergency basis because of the process that we need to go through, and that this may not last forever if we waited. So in order to set Lakeland up for the future, I would recommend approving the buyer's agreement officially as we look at land that is bordering school corporation property. So it is I'm directionally dysfunctional, so this should be good. It is north
North.
of the baseball diamonds. And we were looking at a piece of property that runs all the way from the road to the woods by LIS. So it's about 35 acres, 3 different families. So I would recommend you approve that agreement so that Mike Patka can represent us in this.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Oh, all of us want a second. Go for it.
We got a motion and a second.
There's 3.
Is there any discussion?
No, I mean, I just think it's exciting. It's not
is.
often that you get that chunk of land on the side of all of our school property, and that we have 3 different families that are willing to work with us to try to help secure our future. So it's a cool and exciting opportunity that we probably only get once. I mean, I know the one property got up for sale, and then we kind of meshed from there. So it's a pretty cool opportunity that's presented us right now.
Yeah, one of the families is in the process of wanting to sell their family farm, and then the other one as well, and then there's one in between that would tie it all together. We're in the process of ordering appraisals for those 3 pieces of property. So in order, the school can't just pay whatever they want for a property. They have to have 2 appraisals done, and they take the average of the 2. So exciting stuff, and I think this gives Lakeland an opportunity to grow. We're kind of jammed up there. Anybody that knows how the school's laid out there, our left field fence, our baseball diamond is on the property line, and our track and softball diamonds are as well jammed up against the property line. And I'll also allow our FFA property to grow a little bit to the north as well. So
Lots of options for the future.
yep. We got a motion and a second, and all in favor? Motion carries. Okay, 2 is the transfer to rainy day.
So take 2. So the State Board of Accounts came back and told me, the DLGF came back and told me we needed to put the $500,000 amount actually in the resolution. So that's all this is just updating that resolution with the $500,000 in it. So.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you for taking care of that. Number 3 is reduce appropriations.
All right, this one I completely spaced on doing the rainy day fund. With it being new, it totally skipped my brain. So anyway, this is just adding the rainy day fund into that resolution to reduce those appropriations. So that's what that is.
Entertain? Got a motion, Jessica, second. All in favor? Motion carries.
Oh, sorry.
Unanimous, lady.
I was reading,
One's a
sorry.
little slower than the other.
Number 4 is the request for credit limit increase.
All right, so our credit limit, we have credit cards that we use to spend money, and it could be ed funds, operations, but most of it's a lot of grant funding that we use to spend. We use these credit cards to spend money on, so supplies through Amazon and all of our travel for these grants. We are running into certain times during the year, not all the time, but certain times during the year where we have larger purchases, and also because we have to spend all this grant money all at the same time. So we're spending it on supplies, we're spending it on travel, literally all now in this month. So we run into a couple of walls where we've been mailing in payments to get our credit limit back down so we can do these travelings and things. So we're just requesting a $2,000 limit on one account, and then a $5,000 increase on another account to give us a little more breathing room with this so we don't run into the problem. So, yeah.
Prime Tuesday.
Yeah. So it only happens usually a couple times during the year. Now in summer times, another time when we're trying to get things wrapped, going for the school year, the beginning of the school year, we're working on projects. So other than that, we're usually good, but
Understand.
yeah. So I just need that approval to do that, and then we can move on.
entertain a motion for this?
So moved.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was in it now. Focused on that one.
We can have a discussion on it. I had that highlighted to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move to the consent agenda now. I'll entertain a motion a second, then we can discuss. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Now discussion. One thing that I wanted to talk about was the marketing and public relations position. That's one thing the board, in our summertime, we wanted to really highlight, and the board wants to get on board with having someone that can really reach out to the public and market all the things that we do great. Does anybody else want to talk about item C?
I can check in a little bit. So, as Brett mentioned, this is kind of something that, as a board, we've thrown around the last couple meetings and had some different side conversations coming out of the summer workshops. One of the things Dr. Blaze brought up too is, well, a lot of us as a board were like, oh, we can ask, let's do some videos, let's do some different things, let's ask staff to do it, let's ask building leaders to do it, teachers to do it. Dr. Blaze brought up, though, everyone's plate is full. Like, we can't ask. It's not your guys' experience or your area of expertise is not marketing. Like, your educators, you're in the building to help develop our staff and teachers and kids. So, coming out of that, we had a lot of conversation about what's that look like. And it's something I think as a board we want to pursue just because we recognize the great things we're doing, but we don't always think the community is in the know of all the great things that are happening. So I personally am really excited about it.
And this will broaden from A to Z. We're not just talking about, with education, what we're doing, but this could flow over to athletics. It could flow over to a lot of, the bands, just for example, the musical, those are things that can be advertised so they can pull some other, like Dr. Blaze paying a little bit more attention on certain things versus that. So this will be a really good thing that they can also help in the classroom if they need to and help teach it as well.
And we currently pay, and I'm trying to remember the number, I think it's like $30,000 a year
Yeah.
to
I believe that's what it was for the school radius newsletter that goes out.
So
So that money can be pulled and go to this, help this as well.
And we absolutely need to put money towards marketing towards the Cyber Academy as well, because we'll make up some revenue on that if we can get more people from at least northern Indiana to invest in that, so.
Absolutely. And if we're marketing in other ways, obviously, whoever ends up doing the marketing is gonna have some expense in doing some marketing. So that full 30,000 is not gonna go away.
No.
But it should, if we're not outsourcing that, it should bring the cost down some. So I think there's definitely some room for growth here, and especially if we move about it in the right direction.
And if I'm wrong, correct me, but the job description is written so that whoever takes this position also has a responsibility to enhance the business and marketing pathway.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes, so the job description that's a part of this consent agenda would make this a 20% teacher, which means that they would teach one marketing or PR class in the junior senior high as part of the pathway, and then 80% of their time would be non-teaching. So that's the job description before you. There have been some alternatives brought up that you can discuss, but.
Okay. Now, on anything else on the consent agenda, is there anyone here we want to highlight?
Oh, let's see. I would say on letter D, just highlighting that every year we have a parent volunteer to drive our show choir to all the places that they need to go, which is a pretty big deal if you've seen all the things they take with them. So we thank Ryan Hattery for volunteering to do that this year. You will also see an approval of some classroom management courses in an effort to support our new teachers and make them better teachers from the get-go. We did offer these online courses on classroom management to them, and those are the people who had completed them. There's also a long list there of people being approved for department heads. As we move along in our plan to develop professional learning communities, our department heads are going to play a very important role in that. So we like to recognize them. Then there is another list that are all changes for ECAs. So when we finished our negotiation of the collective bargaining agreement, there were some new extracurricular titles put in there or titles changed. So we needed to make sure that we got all the people approved that need to be paid for that. And if you look at letter HH, we are super excited to be welcoming McKaylee Senecal back to Lakeland, a Laker grad who will come to us in December to teach 5th grade at LIS.
I know that that's going to be very nice for you to get filled. Yeah.
Yes, it will.
Yes,
Right.
yes, it will.
All right. So we already have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Wow, we'll move on to public comments. Persons wishing to make the board aware of suggestions, ideas, and/or comments may address the board at this time. Comments which involve personnel or students must be discussed in private. Board member comments. Pretty quiet tonight, board.
Yeah.
All right, calendar review. See if I can get this right. I got it in front of me here. It's December 13th. Here, 6:30.
There you go. You nailed it. I think somebody wrote it for you.
Yep.
We're proud of you, Brett.
Thank you. I just need a teleprompter. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you all for coming. And that was under half an hour.
27 minutes and 8 seconds.
We've actually had